Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast for the preview of Red Bull BORA hansgrohe's 2025 season, one of the top teams on the block. This episode is brought to you by our show partner, Join Cycling. And Red Bull Benji, they've made a big splash. They're almost unrecognizable from where they were 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago. Where were they 15 years ago when they were first created as a Conti team?
The good old days, the NetUp days was what they were. Basically a continental team back in 2010 called NetUp, sponsored by NetUp, obviously. And if I look at the riders on that team, there's actually like 2 or 3 names max that I can remember as riders that were still active in the last couple of years. For example, Dimitri Klaes was on Intermarché and Cofidis in a couple of years past, and together with Cesare Benedetti, who also basically became a cornerstone for the team of NetUp, BORA, and so forth across the years, because that man has been along for the entire ride. And obviously the team has grown since then, because it's not a continental team now. It's gone to becoming a pro team, still NetUp in 2011. Then it had riders like, I think Daryl Impey joined halfway through the season, and also a man called Leopold Koenig. He's a bit of I think he was a Czech rider that started on NetUp and eventually also made his way towards Ineos along the way, and maybe won a Grand Tour stage during his career too.
Vuelta.
Yes, sir. 2015 is the next proper change, where NetUp Endura is what it became, got replaced by BORA Argon 18 as the 2 title sponsors, the 2 name sponsors, Argon being the bike sponsor, BORA being the kitchen appliances sponsor that time, but still no Peter Sagan in the team, but quite a few names that you will know if you follow cycling right now. Sam Bennett, the sprinter, Phil Bauhaus, the sprinter on Bahrain, Konrad, Mühlberger, and so forth. That's the vibe of the team at that point in 2015, and let's just say that the real change comes in 2017, right? Team becomes a World Tour team, gets a splash of money, becomes BORA hansgrohe, because now it's not just kitchen appliances, but also shower heads. that's how I see BORA hansgrohe in my head, and that's when Peter Sagan arrives at the team. The likes of Pascal Ackermann, Rafa Majka, Buchmann also in the team, so it's not just Sagan joining the team, but Peter Sagan really was BORA hansgrohe for multiple years, right?
He sort of revolutionized this team. They did start getting Tour de France invites in 2014, but yeah, he changed that when he's the favorite for the green jersey on your team, most famous rider in the world at that time, maybe most marketable, I would say, at that time, alongside Froome. So, yeah, it's that was a huge coup for them. They brought his whole support team along as well from Tinkoff. They brought like 5-6 riders with him too. So, but they were also developing German riders. You know, they developed Buchmann, Ackermann, Schachmann was a quick step, but yeah, they were also developing Germans. I would say at this point there was already the idea, it was difficult for a pure sprinter to go to the Tour de France. Ackermann and Bennett struggled to get consistent placings in the Tour de France team, whether it's because of Sagan and then later GC. But yeah, that was sometimes signing a big name doesn't work, but then when you sign Sagan in his 20s, that certainly worked for Red Bull BORA hansgrohe, and that's a key stepping stone to where they are today. They also signed maybe some, the next phase was trying to develop a GC team. They signed Vlasov from Astana when he was going really, really well, but Astana was short of money at the time. They signed Igita from EF, but they also signed Hindley after his second in the or third in the Giro, COVID Giro 2020. They basically that off season, I understand, signed him, and then he started with them in 2022. So then they started to build. It's clear they wanted to be more than just a classic sprinters team. That would be the start of the next phase, I would say.
Yeah, and it's also partially because Sagan left that year that they had to like pivot, you know, because it's also a change in vision. You had the Sagan era at the team, then you had the GC era for the team that came afterwards, and the question then is, are those tier 2, 3 GC riders that you're signing in, Hindley, Vlasov, and Higuita, going to be the ones that can get you a Tour de France victory? Not necessarily, but you can get a Giro d'Italia victory with Jai Hindley, because that worked. That wasn't necessarily what I would have expected from Hindley, that's for certain, but he definitely delivered in that sense. So they were able to step up in that GC phase quite well, getting that Giro. But then the question is, how are you going to win the Tour de France with these riders when there's riders like Pogacar on the spectrum at that point? Also, Vingegaard is right there. So that's going to be difficult with Hindley, Vlasov, and Higuita. So you need something more. You need to be able to get a GC rider that has the ability to potentially win the Tour de France. And in 2024, we had two things happening to the team. Well, technically in 2023 already. In the transfer season from 23 to 24, we had Primož Roglič on the market. The team jumped on it and signed Primož Roglič for the team. And pretty much laterally around that, we had the announcement that Red Bull would be a majority stakeholder, buying up basically somewhat the majority share in the company that is running the team, which becomes Red Bull BORA Hansgrohe throughout 2024. And that's two pretty major changes, I would say, for the team. First of all, Roglič, I might personally not necessarily believe that he can win the Tour de France, but he's as close as it gets at the end of 2023 to a rider that is available that can potentially win the Tour de France. Because with the other guys, it wasn't going to work. And
he wins races.
Yeah, true. He wins races, and we're going to dive into that pretty soon with the results, because I feel like they were pretty dependent on Roglič in 2024.
Yeah. But yeah, Roglič was the next phase. Ralph Denks tried to sign Remco for the last 3 years, and Remco's turned him down apparently.
Yeah.
So they wanted, if you can't have Jonas, you can't have Pogacar, then the next ones you want is Remco or Roglič. And he got them. But yeah, we'll get into their transfers this year, because it's a whole different line of strategy. But yeah, that's where the teams come from a Conti startup to now being owned by one of the most recognizable brands in the world, and being a top world tour team with a top budget, top riders, top reputation, and big ambitions. So, and now also with, I'll say it here, they've now also created a structure with a development team. They basically had the Auto Ada junior team. Problem with that was there was no chain link in the river between the junior team and the world tour team, and that frankly didn't work. They lost Brenner to DSM, etc. And now they have a Devo team with also top prospects, Boischi, Finn, junior world champion, etc. So it's a whole vertically integrated structure resembling the other, like UAE, Visma as well. And okay, so before we get into recapping their actual 2024 season, Benji, if you're in the bad weather, which I actually was this morning, I'm going to get a coffee. Had a tropical storm on me, but it's not so bad. Free shower, I guess. Yeah, so you got to change your mindset, Benji. Positive mindset. Free shower, thank you, nature. But if you're in maybe, oh yeah,
Patrick brings his shampoo on every ride just in case it rains.
I actually don't believe in. I think there's like big shampoo conspiracy. I don't use shampoo. They're trying to steal your oils. No, yeah.
Okay.
I don't believe in it. Seriously, try, because if you do a shampoo detox, then it won't work for 2 weeks, but then your body will rebalance. I've been on the Gold Coast too long. I'm turning into a hippie. I'm turning into a nature hippie.
This podcast is not sponsored by Alpecin.
Exactly. Yeah. Jesus. They can't come on board for 2025, can they? But anyway, maybe you're in worse weather than me. Maybe you're not able to go outside at all, especially if you're in Europe or at the moment, or in North America. And if you want to keep on track of your cycling goals, and this is the time to build the foundations for your next season, indoor cycling is obviously a must. And indoor cycling workouts are a great change up from the road. Even if you are on the road 2 or 3 times a week when the weather's okay, or when you just want to brave the elements, indoor cycling workouts are an excellent way to improve your power, speed, and endurance. Join Cycling, one of the best parts of their app is they have a whole article. If you go to their homepage, Join Cycling users will know on their homepage there is these articles that outline the benefits of various training things, including our masterclass series. But most importantly, Join Cycling integrates perfectly with applications like Zwift. So if you are doing workouts on your indoor trainer, you are on Zwift, you can do your join workout and seamlessly sync your training plan with Zwift. And not just that, Join Cycling has indoor specific training plans. It doesn't make sense to do your outdoor training plan if you're riding 100% indoors for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, just because of the different tax on the body, the heating, etc. Join Cycling has specific indoor training plans to match with your goals, your availability, and your current level. So if you are thinking about being indoors on the trainer for a fair while during this winter, Join Cycling is something you should definitely check out. Go through the link down below. Thanks to them for supporting us throughout the year. And see if you can improve your FTP by a huge amount with just 5-6 hours a week, like I have. Okay, Benji, Red Bull BORA hansgrohe season 2024. Run me through it and give me a rating.
Ooh, a rating. 24 victories, 12 World Tour victories, 3 Grand Tour victories. And then I look at the year before, which is 23 victories, 7 World Tour victories, 5 Grand Tour victories. If you look solely at the numbers, it's actually not a major difference. But we got to look at more than just these numbers to really have a view of what happened. And I feel like when I was looking at the results of this year and comparing it to last year, and also just looking at the sole results of this year, it felt like the team was very dependent on Primož Roglič in 2024 for their top victories. And I'm talking winning 3 stages at La Vuelta plus the GC, so winning a Grand Tour for the team, winning 2 stages at the Dauphiné plus the GC, so a 1-week race in World Tour, winning a stage at Basque Country, that's another World Tour win by Roglič. So I'm already talking about 8 World Tour victories coming from Roglic's side. That's a lot. Let's be honest about it. All of the Grand Tour victories are stage wins are coming from Roglič. Then I look outside of Roglič, and there's still quite a bit of victories left and right, like Welsford winning 3 stages at Santos Down Under with his perfect lead out back then, Vlasov winning a stage at the Dauphiné. Daniel Martin is also at a fantastic second spot at the Giro d'Italia. That has to be mentioned 100%. Vlasov and Lipovic, and I must say, Vlasov, Lipovic, and Hindley are kind of how I would describe Bahrain a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago, in the way they were like always consistently in the top 5 of 1-week World Tour races. Vlasov and Lipovic, P2 and 3 at Romandy. Vlasov P4 at Catalunya, P5 at Paris, P6 at Dauphiné. Hindley, P3 at Tirreno Adriatico. I must say, I did expect a bit more from Hindley this year, personally. I feel like he was
an even year.
Oh, yeah.
He was supposed to perform this. He doesn't perform in odd years. He performs in even years.
Well, looks like the pattern has been broken.
Maybe yeah, that's confusing.
Wait, is there any relation between odd years and contract years, or?
Yeah, probably he was on 2-year deals before. Oh, maybe it was that. Yeah. because he won the Giro first year of his BORA contract.
Yeah, true. But 1-day races, Meeuwis getting a podium at Gent-Wevelgem and Van Poppel getting a podium at Brugge de Panne. There's not much to shout about when it comes to 1-day races. So I'm looking at this whole list and I think, okay, I feel like they made a good move in signing Roglič because he delivered half of the World Tour victories, more than half, and all of their Grand Tour stage wins, plus Grand Tour GC victories, in which the other GC riders partially didn't perform to a World Tour winning level, or were in support of Roglič, which then led to them winning less themselves. But the overall feeling is that it's a very focused on Roglič palmarès in 2024, which brings me to the question, spoilers, they've signed quite a few riders in 2025. Is the reason that they signed so many different riders, next to the fact that there's more money available, the fact that they realize that they're so focused, dependent on one person delivering those top results, that they need to find a way to perform better at 1-day races, hilly races, World Tour victories outside of Roglič, and so forth?
That's not how I look at their transfers at all.
Okay.
Because And yeah, as a note on your season, but we'll get to the transfers in a second. But yeah, I don't think so. Because as you said, Benji, you know, Red Bull, like, the narrative of how positive for their, I know they won way more than Ineos, but actually in the aggregate across the season, them, Decathlon and Ineos were actually not so different in overall level, maybe from the 5th rider to the 15th rider. But yeah, but the difference is if you have a real winner, you win the Vuelta. You win all these races. You win the Dauphiné. So it's actually, they did have a much better season than someone like Decathlon or Ineos, but it's maybe not as it's a lot of narrative is also trajectory as well. Like I don't think they had like the best overall season from maybe their top 10 riders that they would also like Igita.
Yeah.
As well. So
invisible.
But as a GC block, really solid. They were competitive for the podium in all 3 Grand Tours, and Visma weren't. Ineos weren't. UAE were, obviously. Oh, like Almeida would have been, obviously. I mean, like before but they entered the race with a realistic podium guy for GC. And only 2 teams had that, UAE and BORA. Classics, absolute zero. Like, the Classic team is straight up non-competitive. So that's where I see what they've done with the transfers. Okay. 2025
rating.
Transfers, Benji. Oh, rating?
Ooh. Like,
We're doing numbers or grades?
I find it hard to do ratings like numbers or grades regardless, because I don't remember where I would have placed all the other teams, but I'd say the fact that they signed
7.
Roglic and he ends up winning La Vuelta, I think it's a solid season.
Yeah.
That's what you hope for. And there's less victories than I would hope for if I'm BORA outside of Roglic. So these other riders need to step up a little bit.
I don't think BORA, they're not stupid. They didn't sign Roglic thinking he's going to win the Tour.
They were hoping it, though.
Yeah, like, it's possible. Like, they're like, this guy is the best option to win the Tour available. Yeah. And if he doesn't, he can win 10 World Tour races and the Vuelta. So, but I don't think they were like delusional that, now we're going to go toe to toe. Like, I don't think so. In that sense, it is a successful season. 2025 transfers.
Sorry for breaking you up there, but did we see a trajectory in the way Roglic is going? As in, how long do we expect him to be able to perform at this level? Because let's be honest, Roglic is not the youngest GC rider in the world. I actually don't know his exact age, but I'm guessing he's like 34, 35. Yes, 35. And usually that's where GC riders start to perform a little less unless your name is Alejandro Valverde. Do you think that Roglic will still be on the team after his contract ends, which is at the end of next season?
Yeah, it's a 2-year deal. Pretty smart, actually. That's smart from Roglic. Because then he can get like a crazy bag from like a Stana or someone. But
does that also not allow the option that we've had this discussion on the Quickstep podcast? The fact that for Quickstep, getting rid of Remco through a buyout is possible for the final only time at the end of next season, because if the ways split in 2026, well, what I'm trying to say is 2025 off-season is the last chance for Quickstep to get a buyout sum for Remco, because the year after he's most likely going to leave anyway. And is that not the perfect moment then? Roglic being out of contract to replace him with Remco, and Roglic finding a different destination?
Yeah, maybe it's where the BORA want to commit to him for then another 2 years.
Yeah.
But on Roglic's demise or lack thereof, you can't call it, because he did a career performance on Ancares in the Vuelta.
Yep.
He beat Vingegaard, Remco and co in the Pay Vasco TT. He won a shitload of races. He won the Vuelta. Yeah, he was maybe going to be competitive with Remco in the Tour for third. And he's super professional. He's not he's not going to rest on his laurels. Like, he's a hungry dog, so he's not just going to fall off a
Gotta
cliff.
respect it.
Yeah, so no, he will be good in 25. Like, he will be.
I think so too.
And he'll win races.
The Giro,
Like,
perhaps.
even when he says he's doing Algarve, he's like, I don't expect to be competitive. Of course he's going to be competitive. He's going to be like, I don't feel so good. And then it's going to come to the uphill sprint on Foya, and he's going to fucking dust everybody. Like, it'll make it look close. It'll be
It's
a bike
perfect race for Roglic.
but he'll win. He'll win. I remember when he went to Tirreno 2023, and before the race, he's like, my legs don't work. He won 4 stages.
I gotta say, it helped that the mountain was reduced and that it was a massive headwind, but he still did it.
Exactly, he still won. He still Dauphiné. He still won, man. So anyway, the outgoing transfers, Louis Joe Lewis, you may be asking who that is. So that's an example of, they didn't have a Devo team. He came directly from the junior team to Red Bull. Didn't make sense. And it didn't work out. He's gone to Decathlon AG2R Mondial Devo team, which is that must be, anyone knows, that a first of a rider going from a World Tour team down to a Devo team.
Valgren, because of his injury.
Yeah, that's true. But skipping juniors to go up to World Tour and then going to Devo.
And our next podcast we're going to record, Astana, has a few riders going to the Def team as well, but that's a whole different story. We'll get to that in the next one.
Like, you have to.
You weren't supposed to be on the World Tour team anyway on sports merit, so that's why you're going to the Def team.
Patrick Gamper to Jaco Alula. He was actually solid in the Vuelta, I thought. Benedetti, one of the institutions of the team. I think he might be becoming a DS.
Since NetApp, he's been on the team.
Yeah, he's
Since
like
the first year.
Yeah. And he would always do like 90 race days. He would just eat up the race days. Marco Haller to Tudor Pro Cycling, the Austrian. He was stomping on Bahrain. I wouldn't say it really worked out at Bora. And then let's get into the bigger names.
Did Haller not do well at the Olympics somehow?
Yeah, Haller's a good one-day rider too. He was in like the last 5 with turns in Tour of Flanders, right?
There's always one race per season that he overperforms in.
Yeah.
But is that worth it for a team like Bora? In my opinion, no.
No, he's a bit exy. He's probably a bit expensive, so he's not. Yeah, he's not the most consistent. Now Egita, I didn't realize Egita's going to XDS Astana team. He's got to pull his socks up and make it work because he's had a shocking couple of years after having a good 22 with Bora. That didn't really work out. Yeah. But to be honest, I think it's good for them. They got him off their books. Another sort of institution of the team, Emmanuel Buchmann, has moved to Cofidis. Probably best for them to part ways. It was getting a little bit acrimonious with the Giro deselection. But they also don't need Buchmann. They just don't need him with the salary. Then Kemner's the other one, Benji. They revived his career. He was at DSM, had a career break from cycling. They supported him, and they brought him up to a top 10 GC level as in a Grand Tour, as well as the best breakaway hunter in the world. He had a big crash, but I believe it was already signed. He was going a little Trek. Or no, that's not true. They were sort of talking. He had the crash, and then Trek said, "No, we'll give you the offer on the table." Right?
Okay. I don't know.
I think that's how it worked.
Well, sounds like a great story from Little Trek in terms of PR. But regardless of that, he was great at this team, that Bora in the past. I am hoping that he can revive himself from the injury that he had and that he can have a good level little Trek. As simple as that. It's, in my opinion, it's a gamble, but I guess we'll find out, and let's hope the best for him. But outside of those guys, Schachmann also leaving was a guy that was also on a pretty big budget, I would think, because he also has a history of winning 1 week World Tour race in the likes of Paris multiple times, I'm pretty sure, winning Grand Tour stages. Or wait, did he win that Tour de France stage, or did he lose it to someone? To Martinez?
He lost it. It was him in Canada. He lost it.
Was it to Martinez or?
Yeah, on Puy Marie 2020.
Yeah. long time ago. And Bob Jungels is also leaving to Ineos Grenadiers, and that's the list. Also a member of their GC team, I would say. But I'm looking at this list and I'm like, okay, there's multiple riders in there that I would have tried getting rid of in terms of the money that is stuck on them, like Higita, like Bookman, like Sharkman as well, to be honest. Kemna, I don't know, it's kind of it's a difficult situation to judge, but also all the rest seems replaceable. As simple as that. And the question then is, Red Bull has come aboard. How much of that money from Red Bull becomes available for transfers at the end of the 2024 season? And then we look at the incoming transfers, and sounds like they did have quite a bit of money. As in, the riders that they signed, there's some pretty damn solid riders in there that are not on like 100K. But I'm also thinking, Bookman leaving was probably on 7 figures.
Yeah, for sure.
So, a Kemna leaving was probably also on 7 figures.
Yeah, easily.
Sharkman leaving was probably near or on 7 figures. It depends on... I think yes, because he had a year where he was really a Hill Classic specialist and podium 2 of the Hill Classics. I don't know. Like, a lot of money went out as well. Jungels was also not cheap. It's probably also near 7 figures.
He won a tour stage at AG2R last year of the contract.
Looking at those riders, there's at least 4 million going out. Half, 5 million, maybe. And then
at least 5.
Then I think about incoming transfers. And before we go over the lists, I must say, yes, they probably spend a lot of money on these riders. But keeping in mind that they also got a lot of money back between quotes from the outgoing transfers, there's not as much Red Bull input that I thought it would be, if that makes sense. No?
Yeah, exactly. I would say, but what you gotta include, Benji, is the extensions of Vlasov and Hindley.
Fair.
And some other riders. So, and maybe Mayus. So, and Van Poppel got extended. Lipovitz, I think, got extended.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yes,
there is a big delta there, because also Hindley's not... You're only keeping Hindley and Vlasov if you really pay, because you also can't guarantee them the exact schedule they want each year.
Lipovitz is more expensive than he was on his first contract.
Yeah, even Van Poppel. Like, I think they really like him. So, they have spent more money, but you're right. The first 5 riders on that outgoing transfers, they're also really expensive. And and the riders they're bringing in have more potential. I would also say it's another phase of the Germanification of the team. So in 2022, they had 14 German speakers, Austrians and Germans. Now they have 7, or I think, on the team. So even though Red Bull is an Austrian company, they actually only have 1 Austrian rider this year, which is Alexander Hayek. And I guess that's just an example that Red Bull's an international company. They don't care that you have Austrians. And so, it's a truly international team now. And we can see that process really happening in this transfer window. And I would say Visma and Little Trek are on the hunt for Germans almost more now. Particularly Little Trek. Incoming, Yanni Moscon gets a deal. He was supposed to go to stay at Soudal, but he comes in as a stage racing rouleur domestique, which is fine. Jan Tratnik joins on a 3-year deal from Team Visma Lisa Bike, the versatile all-rounder, one of the most useful and on his day best riders in the peloton, actually. He joins back up with Roglic. He'll be paired with Roglic pretty much everywhere. Maybe do a couple of classics. And then Van Gils, Benji, he joined.
Yes.
From Lord of Destiny for, I think, to be a one-day race leader.
I think so as well. There was some rumors in the press. I think media called RTL that was talking about 2.4 million per year for Van Gils at BORA. Do you think that's a realistic number?
I mean, I think Freeb says that's not, 2.5 million? it's like not the case, but yeah, it'd be a lot of money, I think.
Yeah, I think it would be a lot of money. But Funny Hills, looking at the season this year, I felt like throughout the year we're always impressed of, okay, Funny Hills right now is like the top 5 UCI point scorer. Not right now, but at a certain point throughout the year, we had that in our mind. We were telling you that because he was just so close on many occasions, on many races, but he didn't win much, I would say, when it comes to the top races. And then the question is, okay, is that because of the environment that he's in? Is that because it was his first year at that level and he made some mistakes left and right? Like, he podium Strade Bianche. He does 2 very early attacks there. The second one actually ends up working out. And outside of that, yes, there's also results like a top 10 at MSR. Getting third at Flesh, 4th at LBL. Those are great results. And then you might argue, if you can get third on one of those races, can you win one of those races in the coming future? Then he wins a World Tour race in Edgewood Frankfurt, which it's a World Tour race, but it's not a top World Tour race. Getting 4th in Montreal, though, also being very competitive in Quebec with that move of Lotto Destiny that didn't necessarily work out. I would classify it as not working out. Multiple riders into the attack and it all flopped down in the end. So he's very close on a lot of races. The question then is, if you put him in a team that is more well-rounded, more teammates at the same level, a stronger team, stronger block in the classics, does that bring you a bigger chance of potentially winning those races as that rider or as a team around Van Hills? Probably yes. But
yeah, but Delee's not a bad pairing either.
Exactly. How much is Van Hills going to be focused on? Hill Classics versus Cobble Classics? Because the announced participations, we're going into the spoiler territory when it comes to schedule a little bit.
Oh yeah, what is it? I don't know. What's Van Hills?
Strade Bianche and Hill Classics. So it's not a pairing with Arno Delee we're comparing with. We're comparing with Van Eetveld maybe for the Hill Classics at Lotto Destiny and Kron, who left.
Yeah, true. Yeah, but Lotto are a good one-day team, Benji. They're like, okay, they're not the best overall team because they can't afford to have Vlasov, a Hindley, an Ota Brooks, a Simon Yates. But actually, in one-day races, they're fucking good, especially the long ones. Yeah. So, yeah.
Maybe not this year, but at least in terms of Cobble Classics.
Yeah, but I'm thinking also Britannia. He was paired with Delee. Should have won. They went, they lost their head a bit. Was it Van Gils and Delee with Poggy in Quebec?
Yes.
So like,
and Bergmoes, right?
Yeah, they're pretty good level in the Hilly one-day races, and it's not like he's coming from, like Lascano maybe would have more margin. You would think that he in the classics.
Are we underrating the feeling of doom that's been hanging over Lotto Destiny a little bit in the last 2 years, where Van Hills at BORA might feel like his future is more secure?
Well, I mean, they gave him an extension before the season, so they could make him more calm.
The amount, but there was so much quacking about Destiny leaving. Will the team have enough money to survive? Yeah, there was so much around that in the media. I don't know how much of that is realistic behind the scenes. That if you're a rider on that team, you must think to yourself, okay, is this team going to exist in 5 years?
But I'm more saying I think it's more likely that Van Hills has a worse spring than a better one. Because that sort of consistency is so difficult to replicate in one-day races. Even for the best riders, it's so difficult to always be top 5. So, but yeah, I mean, I might take a little bet against you, Benji. Van Gils against Pithy.
Well, I'm not sure who we're going for in that, because I like Pithy too a lot.
Yeah, I think Pithy's more talented, almost.
Well, we saw a very good Pithy this year at the first 5 months of the year, 4 months definitely, where obviously it all started in Australia, Sanderson and under. He was stronger than expected on the climbing stages, where I was like, okay, this guy can climb a bit. Obviously, Sanderson and under, we're not talking mountain climbing, we're talking like 5 to 10 minute efforts. Is that how I would describe Australian hills?
Yeah.
And then we went to the Cobble Classics, and yeah, Piffy wasn't competitive in the likes of RVV, but he was competitive in the likes of Kuurne Brussel Kuurne and Gent-Wevelgem, where those are the types of races where, well, those are the two races where I feel like Piffy was able to hold on up to the point that the hills became too much for him at a certain point.
And yeah, that's where like...
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, like that's where you say, okay, he's just there. He's there's three hills. Visma opened the race in Kuurne. Van Aert goes with Lascano and Wellens. He holds on the first hill, holds on the second hill, just 3 seconds off on the last hill, and then that gets no result. Gent-Wevelgem the same. He's just going to follow Pedersen and Van der Poel. And then you think, different team, equipment, altitude, nutrition, is that 1%? And now he's there, and he can sprint. So, yeah, Pithy obviously had a great... I mean, it's crazy. Like, he did Kuurne, and then raced Le Samyn 2 days later with the Conti, with the Devo team. And then, yeah, they sent him to the Giro and, like, fucked up his summer. So, but anyway, yeah, Pithy's a huge signing. He's the next one. And I would say these are what they had to do. We spoke about the GC squad. The GC squad for 25 is pretty much unchanged. Like Pellizzari is not. He's not the Tour de France contender for 25. Lorenzo Finn on the Devo team is the Tour de France contender for 2030. He's that good. But GC, they haven't really changed anything in terms of the leaders. They've built a whole classics team because they had to. And Pithy he can be a classics leader. He can sprint, punch. If you pair him with Van Gils in Britannia or these sort of lots of different races, nasty combination. But are you surprised that Van Gils isn't doing a Kuurne, Benji? Isn't it better that, like how Visma used Benoit? Like
I would
you have Van Gils to follow and then sit on if Pithy's 5 seconds behind.
Yes, I would have liked to see Maxime Van Gils do Cobble Classics. We stated it at Lotto Destiny throughout the season. You and me, when we spoke about what could Maxime Van Gils do in the coming years, and sending him to RVV was a must in our eyes when it comes to Lotto Destiny, to combine him perhaps with Arnaud Delis and have that kind of duo strength there.
It's like
Bergmoes and so forth added to that. Yes, I agree with you. And also, he also got a pretty damn good kick at the finish line, worst case, like Edwin Frankfurt, he won that in a bit of a sprint, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a proper sprint.
Yeah. So, I
against
wasn't expecting him to win that
it was a sprint.
Get out.
Nah, she was there though. Like he was quick.
Yeah. But we've gone over these names now. Van Gils, Piffy, individually. Do you see them winning a monument next year?
No, because like Van der Poel and Pogacar exist.
Yeah.
So like, no, probably not. But could Pithy win San Remo with Van Gils?
Perhaps.
Yeah. Fucking good combination.
But I will say, these transfers will make Red Bull BORA hansgrohe competitive.
Yeah, that's the point.
And in the monuments. That's where it's at.
Because they were a zero.
Yeah. They had a podium at Brugge de Panne and at Gent-Wevelgem. I'm sorry, but that's nothing. Like, we're looking at a team now. We haven't even gone to Lascano yet. Oye Lascano, Spanish rider, comes from Movistar. Like, individually, if BORA got him alone, then it's kind of the old Pollitt situation at the team. You're going to have to take over because I need to cuff. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, like Lascano, he can't sprint, so again, it's difficult for him to win a lot. He has to win Dylan van Baarle style solo if he was going to win a classic, like he won a Classica High-End. He's now too good to be allowed in the breakaway, like he was in Dwars Duur 23. But now you pair Pithy, Lascano, Van Gils. That's a really nice young, and they're also all young. Under 25 or under. You now have a beautiful classics block with Tratnik Imus as well. So it's yeah, they're looking really good. And then so Lascano is that he can also now Lascano, can he win time trials? Maybe. Like he's got that raw pack. Can he win a 20-minute time trial on a rolly course? Maybe. He came top 10 in Dauphiné. because he was climbing so fast, right? And so,
Yeah.
can he be an elite mountain domestique, or not an all-round domestique in a Giro or a Tour? Probably. So
Probably.
there's a
He's
lot of
youngles, but
potential
better.
there. Yeah, way better.
I mean,
Yeah.
Youngles' role, he can do better, is what I'm trying to say. The
Yeah,
comparison is odd.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Yeah, that like yeah, he can pull super hard, but that's their classic squad plus the Van Dyke brothers as well. So they get the Van Dykes from Visma Lisa bike. They both leave. On
Who's the better one?
At what?
That's the question. Like, is one better at a certain thing than the other?
Yeah, I think Tim is better in the lead outs and the bunch sprints.
Okay.
To be honest, like he thought in Paris in particular, did a pretty good job. I think Mick is slightly better on like a 2-3 minute climb or explosive effort. In I think one of them did all right in Flesh. I think maybe it was Tim, but yeah, Tim was top 10 in Roubaix. Mick was also excellent there. They both had mechanicals at inopportune moments, so they were both top 10 in the race. Pithy was 7th. So now you have, I would say, plus Lascano, 4 guys who are top 10 Paris-Roubaix material, and so that's a big change from just having 0.
Yep, that's true. It's a team you can work with definitely to get the best possible results in classics, and they're going to be consistent, I would say, in getting results in the classics, you would hope, with this team, which is something they could have never dreamed of with the team they had in 2024 when it comes to the classics.
8th.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, but
they got 5 top 10 guys.
Yeah, but
and Pithy can win.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing what Lawrence Pithy could do with this team. That's for sure. Because also because some of these riders were held back a little bit. In Pithy, for example, at Groupama FDG in terms of being sent to the Giro, I think he got sick a little bit as well in the first week, if I recall correctly. If I remember that. But also, then I look at the other riders in the team and I'm like, okay. But then again, it depends on the schedule. Because we're saying, okay, these riders combined together are a great block for the classics. I look at the schedule of Tratnik for next season, and I see that he's mostly riding races that I would expect Mr. Roglic to ride, which means that right now, classics-wise, Omloop and Strade, that's it.
For Tratnik?
Yes, because he rides Catalunya during the other one-day races.
Oh, Tratnikistan won't be happy. But that's why I got signed, is to be paired with Roglic. So it's like, well, it is what it is. And then we have
underrating Moscon? 3 years ago, he nearly won Roubaix, or was that not 3 years ago when he punctured?
21, yeah, in the wet edition. I mean, it's possible that he's in that team. I also think he's going to be a stage racing domestique mostly.
Yeah,
but no, I just don't see the punches in there. He's just not there anymore. And they also have 2 climbers coming in. Giulio Pellizzari. What's better than a Giro stage? It's a pair of sunglasses. He comes in from Bardiani CSF, one of the hottest climbing prospects out of Italy in a long time. Maybe Giulio Ciccone 2.0, who also is named Giulio, who also was on Bardiani, who also was good in a Giro. And he, big climbing prospect, went toe-to-toe with Nordhagen and Torres in Friuli in the U23s. And he's for developing for the future. And then Finn Fisher Black is a little bit more progressed in his development. He is obviously now on his 2nd World Tour contract. Comes over from UAE Team Emirates. He won Muscat Classic, won a stage of Oman, I think, as well, but then lost GC on the lost GC on Green Mountain. He nearly won a Lula Tour if he just won that sprint against Simon Yates. So he had a good Middle East block, won in Asturias, good TT in Swiss, 3rd in Burgos. So He's only 22. Turns 23 in 4 days. But yeah,
I mean,
he's a prospect again.
I agree, and it's just that they need to make him more consistent in terms of his climbing level and so forth, because his time trial's pretty fucking strong. But when it comes to his climbing, I feel like there's not as much consistency. One day, I see him flying up Beches nearly following Vingegaard, dropping his own team, which was, in terms of team orders, not a personal decision by him to do that, in the Vuelta last year. Then on other days, he was a little bit less on the mountains, and then on other weeks, I'm like, okay, he's not really visible where I expect him to be visible, but it shows that the level is there when he's on, you know? So if Red Bull BORA can get that out of him consistently throughout the year, and perhaps make him progress even more, I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing him do those World Tour 1 week races that the other GC riders in the team are not going to. Because then there's possibilities with a time trial and with some maybe not crazy mountain stages that this guy can compete for World Tour victories, in my personal opinion. Pellizzari is an interesting one because, I feel like an old man saying this, but throughout all my days of watching cycling, I feel like I've seen a lot of Italian riders who won breakaway stage or fought for breakaway stage at a Grand Tour, either was at VF Group Bardiani or in their Androni days with Cataneo, for example. I've seen so many Italians go to World Tour from those positions. And the question is always, can they ride a time trial bike fast? And the reality is that, based on what I've seen at VF Group Bardiani, I can't conclude anything because their time trial setup is not really existent. So then I think of Pellizzari and I'm like, okay, can this guy time trial, or will he just be that breakaway guy? You know?
Yeah, well, Sepp Kuss, he can be. Yeah. Could he be that? Also pretty good. He's solid in the one-day races.
Will he be able to get the climbing level of Sepp Kuss is also a question. Because peak Sepp Kuss, I'm sorry, but that's a high climbing level.
Yeah, but this guy's 21. He looks pretty good. But
there's a lot of 21-year-olds that nearly won a breakaway stage or won a breakaway stage in the last 10 years that don't make that Sepp Kuss climbing level.
Yeah. I more mean like that's what he could become because of his. He's also 6 foot, really skinny like frame, no sprint. Yeah, maybe I don't think his TT is gonna be particularly good, but
I fear so too.
Yeah, so that's still a really good rider. And his schedule has been announced. Actually, I was a bit surprised. Like it was, I think UAE, Basque, Catalonia, maybe Swiss. It's like quite a hard World Tour schedule.
I can read UAE Tour, Catalonia, Giro, and Vuelta as the list right now.
No way he's doing 2 Grand Tours in his first year.
It's literally saying it on this page. I don't know, man. It could be wrong.
Right, okay.
Would be crazy, Giro and Vuelta as a 21-year-old.
So that's the incoming transfers. It's a lot. You'll notice the theme, apart from Tratnik and Moscon, who I would say are to help Roglic win the Giro now, 25. The rest are for now and the future. They're all young, and they also probably the best riders available on the market. Like, really, it's not they sort of got the best young talent available. Okay.
Well, I think it's pretty reasonable to say that they've replaced every person that went out and way more than that. Because based on these transfers that they've made, looking at all the riders coming in, I see a team next year that will not be as dependent on Roglic, that will be competitive in the one-day races, and that perhaps strengthens the rouleur capabilities in a Grand Tour around Roglic to make sure he might not crash out in his sprint stage anymore.
Yeah, exactly. If Moscon stops that happening, then it's worth it. Okay, their schedule.
Or Tratnik,
yeah, Tratnik as well. Roglic will do Algarve Catalunya Giro Tour. Would you be surprised? Were you surprised to see he's doing the Giro, Benji? With him?
Not really, to be honest. As in, realistically, we've had so many rumors about GC riders. Are they going to do the Giro? Are they not going to do the Giro? I look at Pogacar. I don't see it. I see Tour de France Vuelta. Remco was a bit of rumors when it comes to the Giro, but I never truly believed in it. But then again, he crashed, so it's very unlikely that he's going to do the Giro now with his recovery from that. Vingegaard, a bit unknown right now, but he's definitely doing the Tour de France. He cares a lot about winning the Tour de France, I would say. Whether he goes to the Giro or not, I'm leaning towards not, personally. But then I look at Roglic, and I'm like, okay, if it's looking like there's a possibility that no other ones of the top 3 GC of the if not a single other ones of those top 4 GC riders, Remco, Vingegaard, and Pogacar goes to the Giro, then you might as well go to the Giro because you might be able to pick up a Grand Tour along the way towards the Tour de France. And Roglic has come to the point of his career that he can afford trying to go for the Giro Tour double and see how that goes. If it's likely that he can, I'm saying likely, but if Roglic goes to the Giro and Vingegaard, Pogacar, and Remco are not there, then he's the favorite. Simple as that.
For sure. For sure. Like he was in 2023 when he won.
Yep.
Vlasov will do the Tour de France with Lipovic and and then who else they got? Martinez.
Yeah.
Don't know what he's doing.
Actually, don't know either.
Martinez, you kind of forget about Giro Tour, apparently. So that if they send Hindley, Martinez, and Roglic to the Giro, that's really like that will be the strongest team in the race because 99% chance, right?
Yeah, I think so too. Well, obviously, at the Giro, you also have Adam Yates and Ayuso. Who will they send next to that?
True.
Will Del Toro do the Giro together with them?
True.
If so, that's also a very strong team.
Anyway, so Roglic, it's not Giro Tour. They're going to have the classics. Van Gil's apparently not doing too many cobbled ones, but then they still have as the leaders Pitti Lascano, the Van Dijk brothers, with Meus for the flatter ones, like you can do a Henk Wevelgem or Kerner and Roubaix.
So can
Pitti, but Meus is a better bunch sprinter.
Yeah.
So, okay, on to then, I guess, their World Tour victories, Benji. They had this year 12.
Yes.
In 23, they had a bit less. They had
7.
Checking? 7. How many do you think they have in 25?
I'm leaning towards... Ooh. I'm going for 16.
16. I'll go 12 again.
Ooh.
I think it's tough with the lack of bunch sprinter, apart from Meus. Like, they'll need Welsford to win again, but the TDU parkour was actually super hard this year. So
true.
It'll be a bit more difficult for him to win 3 stages. But yeah, that changes. If you have Welsford clicking and he picks up 5 and you got Meus with 2, then you can get to 20 a lot easier. The sprinters really dictate how many wins total you get.
Sorry, but for me, Jordi Meus is not the guy that comes to mind when I hear winning 2 World Tour sprints.
No, he's not. So that's why I went with 12. Because
I think you might be closer to the truth than I am.
Well, just because those guys they signed this year, the incomings, they won 3 World Tour races in 24, I think. Frankfurt, Cadels, and Omloop. Big races. All 3 big one-day races, but they're not prolific winners.
Yeah.
Now, you can say there'll be a step up, but it's, So it's not like they're adding 10 wins there of World Tour level. Maybe I'm underrating it. Hot takes, Benji.
Ooh, good question. Ooh, I'm not so sure. Have anything in mind?
Lipovic drops Roglic on Madeleine and keeps going.
I think that's like on paper he's got the Giro in the legs, so I think it's not. I'm not saying it's not a hot take. I'm saying it's possible.
Yeah. Well, the hot take part is that he keeps going.
I am going with
because he did it on Hazelhorst already.
Zari drops Roglic and keeps going.
Nah, I see in the Giro. I don't see it.
I don't see it either, to be honest. Ooh, good question. I'm saying Maxime van Gils doesn't top 10 a single hill classic.
That's a pretty hot take. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to go with Pithy wins Gaan Wevelgem. He's in a group of 3 with Pogacar and he beats him in the sprint.
Okay. And he has to sit up in the wheel of Pogacar because they've got Jordi Meeuws in the next group, and that's why he gets to easily beat Pogacar on the line, right?
Nah, he's the quickest sprinter.
Okay, there we go.
That's a pretty decently hot take. I'm going 12 wins. Where will they be in the ranking? I think they gotta be top 3. They have to
be third.
Like, you cannot make all these signings and be behind Trek again. Can they overtake Visma in the aggregate UCI points?
I don't see it next year.
No?
I think the guy's on paper too good.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless he breaks half his body again, which I don't see 2 years in a row.
Isn't that the biggest macro thing that needs to happen, is that they need to, for them to step up, they need to then be, because there's like the tiers, right? BORA need to push themselves out of the Trek Ineos tier and be like, we are with Visma in their tier.
That's in 2026 when they replace Roglic with Evenepoel.
Yeah, I was more meaning like collective strength, everything. I think that's what they're going to be shooting for in 25, and certainly in the Hill Classics they're looking really, really good, and it was Roglic in the Giro. Okay, that was the Red Bull BORA hansgrohe preview. We'll see how they go. Maybe Lorenzo Finn gets promoted in August and goes to maybe too late. He goes to Vuelta and just wins it. Who knows?
Okay.
That'd be a hot take. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining Cycling as always, and we'll see you in the next preview. Ciao.